We're now in Dcad lesson 14B, and we're continuing with our elevation drawings. And I'm going to hit Z for zoom and zoom up on these sheet notes. And one of the things that I notice when I zoom up on these is that the first elevation sheet note actually starts with sheet note 7. Now I'm going to open up the site plan and click on that, because I believe, and hit Z for zoom and zoom up on the sheet notes, that the last site plan sheet note was sheet note 7. So we're going to need to change the names. I'm going to go ahead and close this site plan. We're going to need to change the numbers in the sheet note boxes to begin actually with 8. So that's not a problem. So what I'm going to do is just go through these and change each one, and I'm going to do that rather quickly. This one, I'm going to open up, select it, and then open up my info box and just change that to 8. And this one will go to 9. And this one will go to 10. So I've gone ahead and completed those number changes, so you wouldn't have to sit through the tedious operation and watch me doing all that. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and select the sheet notes, and I'm going to select the text along with them. And so selection rectangle, Control W to zoom down out to full drawing, and I'm going to hit N to duplicate those sheet notes boxes and the text alongside our north elevation or front elevation to the garage. And just get kind of close down there and click left click so it puts them down there. I'm going to hit Escape to unselect the sheet notes and the sheet note legend. I'm going to hit Z for zoom and zoom up on this entire area here. And the reason I wanted to include the text, to move the info box out of the way, the reason I wanted to include the text with the sheet note boxes when I brought them down here was just to keep things sorted out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to change the position to some of these sheet notes and their text. One of the things that I want to do, for example, is to align the continuous metal gutter up here with the actual gutter. So I'm going to just take these guys, just select this whole group here, and go to my handle, gravity move, hit M, and just arrow up kind of out of the way here a little bit. Okay, now I'm going to take my continuous metal gutter sheet note, and I'm going to hit F5 because it changes the cursor type. Well, let me first gravity move using the comma and hit M, and now I'm going to hit F5 and see how the cursor has changed to large crosshairs. And I'm going to arrow up until this aligns with that gutter. Just one more small step, and then hit enter. And actually, I'm going to move that up a little further, because what I should have done was to set the handle on the point of the sheet note box. So gravity move, hit M, and take this guy up until it's on the gutter here, about like so. And there we go. So now I'm going to go ahead and draw an arrow to it using the arrow command, the greater than command. And I'm still in layer 46, which I want to be in. And I'm hitting H for orthogonal mode because this is going to be a straight arrow. Continuous ridge vent, I'm going to grab that one and kind of just move it up here near the ridge and hit M for move, stick it up here, and I'm going to draw an arrow down to it. Arrow command, the greater than command, and I'm still in orthogonal mode, so I can take it out a little ways and click, hit H to toggle off of orthogonal mode and come down to the ridge vent, or to the ridge, and hit K. And hit my scroll button, Control R to get rid of the artifacts. I'm going to take the siding note now and the corner trim note and grab those two together, and because they can be taken at the same time. And gravity move to my handle, hit M and arrow down. And this is going to just go into the sort of the body of things. And now I'm going to do an arrow from for the exterior siding, the hardy plank siding with an arrow, and I'm hit H. I'm still hit H to orthogonal mode, go straight in and about like so, and set a point. Hit the scroll button to activate the command, and I'm also going to do an arrow to the trim, and H to orthogonal mode, and then hit K to snap to the line there. This arrow I'm going to change because it's into the body, the actual siding. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that arrow and I'm going to pull up my info box and change the arrow to what I call the dot arrow, which I often use so if it's just in the middle of some surface. It just kind of differentiates it from the other arrow types. Now, one of the things I want to do here real quickly is I don't think that this trim around the garage door is 1x4. I think it's like some kind of shake molding or brick molding or something. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom up on the garage door and check to see the layer. So this trim is in layer 3, which it makes sense because it's a exterior opening. I'm going to just check the text or use the size of the trim. So it's 2 1/4 inches. So I'm going to hit escape just to go out of that. And so what I'm going to do is I want my trim to be 3 1/2 inches because it's essentially 1x4 trim. So I've selected this inner line, and I'm going to hit F2 for the parallel by distance command. And right now it's still, from my last F2 command, is still 0.2917, which is 3 1/2 inches. And so, selected entities only is already checked. So I'm just going to click on it and click out a little ways, and then just click again. And actually, the trim right now, my line type is a 0.03, and it's fill. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this previous trim line and delete it. And now I'm going to click on the trim and use the same as command in the info box and click elsewhere on the garage door, and that'll change it to 0.03, which is what it's supposed to be. Okay, so now I'm going to go up here and turn my line type to 00. So because what's happened here is because my line type was in 0.003, all of my arrows are thick. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of these arrows and hit A to see if it'll actually apply to the selection, and it does. And so that changed the thickness back down to 0, so it's a very thin line. So now I'm going to just use my scroll button to scroll out a little bit, and this one also will need to be changed. And so I'm just going to hit A for apply to selection, hit my zoom to zoom up to make sure it's small, Control M to zoom back. Okay, so we're all squared away. The only thing is that this trim that we just placed around this garage door, this 1x4 trim, is in the wrong. Well, I guess I did put it in the right layer. It's in layer 46. It should be in layer 3. So I'm going to scroll up and put it in layer 3 because that's part of the exterior opening. So now I'm going to pull my roofing note down, gravity move, M, and just arrow it on down about like so. And I'm going to put an arrow from there, click on the point of the sheet note box, hit H for orthogonal mode, come on over into the body of the roof somewhere, roofing, click and set a point, and I'm going to make this arrow the same type as the dot arrow. So I'm just going to go here and use the same as command, which makes it pretty straightforward and pretty quick to do. Okay, so now we have to deal with our barge rafters and fascia, and we also have to deal with our actual door trim, which is also going to be 1x4. So I'm selecting the door trim, and I'm just going to move that on down, gravity move to the handle, M for move, and arrow it on down like so, about like, well, let's see, I think I'll just go about like there. Set a point, and then arrow, H for orthogonal mode, and then K to the trim, snaps to the trim, and hit escape. Okay, so now we still have to deal with the barge rafters, and in this case, actually, I need to deal with the fascia also. So I'm going to grab the fascia note, which is sheet note 13, gravity move onto my handle, hit M, and arrow this guy on down. And I want to go down below note 14 a little ways, and actually just a little bit more. And then set a point, or that initiates the command. And now I'm going to draw an arrow, hit an arrow command, H for orthogonal mode, and bring it over like so. Set a point, and then hit H to toggle out of orthogonal mode, hit K, and snap to the fascia. Okay, the only note that I have left to deal with is the barge rafters, and I'm going to go ahead and leave that in, even though I can't really see the barge rafters. It's going to be on the end of the roof here, so I'm going to go ahead and leave that in and select this note, gravity move to the handle, hit M for move, and just arrow on down about like so, and that's good. Hit escape, arrow command, right click to snap to the end of the point of the sheet note box, H for orthogonal mode, and then K at the end of the roof. And that sets our final note. So in this case, what we have, we're going to get rid of all this text in a little bit, but in the meantime, it helps us keep these sheet notes sorted out, because we're going to be using these on the other drawings. So I'm going to select this whole enchilada right now, the sheet notes and the sheet note boxes and their text, and then I'm also going to go out of orthogonal mode. I'm going to go out of point select mode so that I can hold down Shift and select this additional sheet note and its sheet note box, and click back into point select mode. So now I have all of my notes, and they're all selected. So now what I can do, and I want to just put a handle somewhere, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the handle probably in about the middle of this roof. And I'm going to set selection handle, go over to about the middle of the roof, and Control K. That'll snap to the middle, and hit enter. So now I've set my handle to the middle of the roof. I'm going to hit N to duplicate all of this, N, and then right click to my handle. So now I have one set of notes on top of another set. Now I'm going to hit R for rotate, R, and then tab, and then type in 90 for the rotation angle, and hit enter. And so now I'm going to hit Control W, and you can see now that we've rotated about that handle, and you see my other sheet notes are still there. So now I'm going to hit M, or actually I'm going to hit N to duplicate, and I'm going to go to this ridge of the roof here, and just right click and snap to it. And now while I'm at it, I'm going to hit R, and hit tab, and rotate 90 degrees again. And now I'm going to hit N to duplicate again, and I'm going to come up to our rear elevation and hit Control K. And then I'm going to hit R for rotate, and hit tab, and then 90 again, and rotate additional time. And this time I'm using M for move, because we don't need any more copies. We're just going to move this set of sheet notes. So hit M, and I'm going to right click at the ridge and snap to that. So now we have our sheet notes all dispersed. What we're going to do is, with some of these, we can actually deal with the arrows also. For example, there are a bunch of arrows that we can use on this, and which I can use on the opposite side, the rear elevation. I can't necessarily use those on the end elevations, so because they're just in different locations. But I'm going to hit Z for zoom, and I'm going to zoom up on this front or north elevation. Hit escape, so I'm no longer I've no longer selected any of the other stuff. Now I'm just going to click on the arrows that I want to duplicate. So this arrow, hold down Shift, architectural grade comp roofing I can use. The barge rafters I can use. Pretty much all of these I think I can just use. So I'm going to go ahead and just select all these arrows. And now I want a handle at the same place. It's going to be at the center of the ridge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to set selection handle and get up here near the ridge and hit Control K and then hit enter. So what I've done is I've set a handle just the same place we had the other handle for the text. Now I'm going to hit N to duplicate all of those arrows and right click on the handle. Now I'm going to hit R to rotate, and I'm going to hit Tab, and I'm going to go 180 degrees and hit enter and hit Control W. So now I'm going to zoom up to our rear elevation and hit M, because we're just going to move these. And all I have to do here is hit Control K. And what it did is it placed all the arrows where they're supposed to go. Now, one of the things that we're going to want to do is change the layers that these arrows are all in, along with the sheet notes themselves. All of these things are currently in layer 46, and you can, as I pull up the info box, you can see that. And so we want to have all of these sheet notes and their respective arrows tied to the elevation drawings themselves. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit Escape and unselect everything, and I'll deal with all of get everything in its proper layers in a little bit. So I'm going to hit Control W. And now what I want to do is I want to rotate the drawing around, because I just found that it's a heck of a lot easier if I just go ahead and have the drawing in its correct orientation for viewing it. It makes it easier for me to position the arrows. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over here to the working plane properties and click on that. And I want my left drawing to be set as the active working plane. So I'm going to click on, since this left is already highlighted, I'm going to click on that and then hit Control W and zoom up on my left, or in this case, east elevation. Now I'm looking at these sheet notes, and they're kind of far away, so I'm going to just grab all these, select them all, and grab my handle, gravity move to it using the comma, and hit M, and then arrow over just a little bit closer to the drawing, so I'm not taking up any more space than I really need to, without getting so close that it looks tacky. So about there. And hit enter. So now I can take each one of these sheet notes and do new arrows. Hit Z for zoom and zoom up a little closer on these guys here. And I'm going to do initiate the arrow command and right click on, get that point of that sheet note box, hit H for orthogonal mode, come over to the gutter and hit K. It's done that one. Barge rafters, I'm just going to come over and do the same thing with the arrow command. I'm going to come on over, right click on it, hit H to orthogonal mode, come on over and about like so and click, and then hit H again to toggle out, and just K down like so. And I'm going to do the same thing with the comp roofing. H for orthogonal mode, come over a little bit, H, and come down, and K, and enter. Our 2x fascia, we can actually eliminate that one because you can't really see the fascia. I guess I'll go ahead and use it, leave it in there, and I'm going to arrow over to the bottom edge there. H, set a point, hit H again, and just click to the right click there to that bottom. Okay, the hardy plank siding, I'm going to arrow, right click, H for orthogonal mode, come straight on over and just click, and change that arrow type. Might as well do it while I'm thinking about it. And I'm going to change that to the dot type arrow. The hardy trim, I'm going to take an arrow to that, H, and then K, snap to it, and then scroll button to activate. And then for the door trim. Now, I don't think this is 3.5 inches either. Let me check it out with a dimension real quick. It looks kind of thin. Yeah, 2.25 once again. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to click on this door line here and hit F2, and we're still at 3.5 inches or 0.2917, and click to the outside and pull it on out and click again, hit escape, click on the old trim line and delete that, select it and then delete it, and click on this, and again this should be in layer 3 because it's next to your opening, so I'm going to go ahead and scroll on up to put it in layer 3, and I want it the same as the rest of the door, and that should make it in this case it's 0.04. Okay, whatever. So we still have to deal with the ridge vent. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to do an arrow, and keep in mind all this text is going to go away. And H for orthogonal mode, come out a little bit, set a point, and then H again to go toggle out, and right click to the ridge. Okay, so now while I'm here, I'm going to go ahead and select all of this text and just delete it. And this text and delete it. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to select all of this. Actually, I'll wait until I get them all done and just fix them all in one shot. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to select all of these. And what I've done previously was I took and did all of this text before. But you know what? I'm going to delete all of that right now, and even the ridge vent text. Because what we're going to do is we're just going to steal text and arrows and everything. Hit delete. Zoom, hit Z for zoom. We're just going to cut to the chase here. I'm going to select all of these sheet note boxes, and then I'm going to hold down Shift and select the various arrows, and then this sheet note number and this sheet note box. And so what I want to do is I want to set a handle on this ridge. Go to Set Selection Handles, click on that, and then right click at the ridge, and then hit my scroll button to initiate the command. So I have a handle set there now, and I'm hitting N to duplicate it. And I'm going to hit R, Tab 180 to roll it over 180 degrees. Control W, and you can see it is duplicated, and our old ones are there. And I'm going to hit M for move, and just place these guys, click to the ridge here. And zoom up on that real quick just to make sure I'm in the right location. Yeah, it looks good to me. So hit Control W. So that was simple. Huh. Okay, and so now what we're going to do, I'm going to hit Escape to unselect. So now we have all these sheet notes on these other drawings. So we might as well just select all of these guys and delete them. Hit Delete, and select all these guys and hit Delete. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this thing around where it belongs. I'm going to click on Working Plane Properties, click on that, and just click over here where it says Reset Working Plane. Click on that, and bingo, it rolls it back around where it's supposed to be. Now, as I mentioned earlier, one of the things that we need to do, it looks like I still have a sheet note here. Hit Delete, and I have one here still. One of the things we need to do is to put these in their proper layers still, and that shouldn't be too hard. We just hit Z for zoom and come on over here, and I'm going to select all these sheet notes, and I'm going to hold down Shift and select this one also. Get the sheet note and the sheet note box and the arrow, and get all these arrows. Just click on them or near them, and they'll be selected. So you can see that all these sheet notes and their arrows are in layer 46. So this elevation drawing itself, the drawing is in layer 47, so that means its text should be in layer 48. So I'm going to click on our layer here in the info box and put all these in layer 48 and hit Escape to unselect. Control W, Z for zoom, and I'm going to zoom up on this rear one and pull my info box out of the way a little bit here, and I'm going to select all these sheet note boxes and the sheet note number and the sheet note box, and then start selecting all of the arrows. Just click near them and it should select them. So this rear elevation is in layer 49, so that means that its text will be in layer 50. So I'm clicking over here, and then I'm going to click on 50 to put them all in layer 50. And now one of the things that that's going to be kind of clear here is there's no windows or doors on the rear elevation here. So Control W, zoom up to see which number is the window and door trim, and it is sheet note 11. So Control W, hit Z for zoom, zoom up on this rear one, and just eliminate sheet note 11. Select it and hit delete. Okay, Control W. And so now those are all in layer 50 now. They're in their proper layer. So now I'm going to let me hit Z for zoom. Something looks goofy there. We're good. Control W. I'm going to zoom up on our right elevation, or in this case our west elevation. Hit Z for zoom. And I'm going to select all of these sheet note boxes, and this sheet note number and the sheet note box, and then all of the arrows like we've done before. And just saying they're all in layer 46. So this elevation drawing is actually in 51, and so we want its text to be in layer 52. Right here you can see that that's supposed to be text for the right elevation. So I'm going to click on that in layer 52. It puts them all in layer 52. Now I'm going to just click elsewhere in the drawing to unselect, hit Control W. And so now what we have is our elevation drawings with their sheet notes on them. And these guys are basically ready to be placed into the site plan. So in order to do that, I'm going to go ahead and save the drawing right now. I'm going to open up the site plan. And open up. Okay, there's our site plan. So you can see we got quite a bit of room for elevation drawings. And even with those other sheet notes that we have, there's no way going to fill up this drawing. So I'm going to zoom up here now on this thing, and I'm going to get rid of these extra sheet notes. But one of the things I'm going to do is where sheet note 8 is, I'm going to put a little reference line there from the point of that sheet note box, so we can pull our other sheet notes into this. So I'm hitting V for vector, right clicking on 8 here, on the point of 8, and hitting H for orthogonal mode just so I have a nice straight line, and then clicking out here somewhere. And then I'm going to hit my scroll button to initiate it. So now I can take my number 8 sheet note from the other drawing and position it right here with all the rest of them. So I'm going to select these guys and hit delete, Control W. And now I'm going to go to the window drop down menu and click on W1, which is our working drawing. Hit Z for zoom and zoom up on these sheet notes here and select them all from 8 all the way through 15. Sheet note boxes and numbers and text. Okay, so they're all selected. Now I want to put my handle at the point for sheet note box 8 and right click there and hit my scroll button to initiate. So now I have all these guys selected. Now I'm going to hit Control C to copy them to the clipboard. I'm going to hit my window drop down dialog and go now to our T1 Site 1 plan. Click on that. Zoom over, hit C for zoom, zoom over here to the sheet note legend and hit Control V to paste. And right click, and there they are. And hit this line to get rid of it, delete. Control R to get rid of all the artifacts. Now we have all of our elevation sheet notes nicely placed in the sheet note legend for the site plan. Hit Control W. So we really only have 2 sheets on the site plan. I'm not going to get into too much into the site plan at this point in time because we're going to finish it out here in just a little bit. But what I do want to do is go back to our elevation drawings and show how we're going to place these into site plan. So I'm going out of orthogonal mode, going to the Windows drop down and clicking back on W1 where our elevations are located. Hit Escape. to unselect, Control W to zoom out to everything. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start grabbing these things, and I'm going to save the drawing. Select our north elevation, Control C, click into our site plan, Control V, and place it right down about like so. Okay, so we probably want to go ahead and deal with our sheets. Since we only have 2 sheets, I'm going to hit Z and zoom up on these and get rid of all of these extraneous ones that we just don't need. So select those guys, hit delete to get rid of them, Control W. So now we have even more room for elevations. Actually, I'm going to move this over a little bit. Grab it, hit M for move, and move it over for it to look a little bit better. Okay, escape. I'm going back to my W1 working drawing, and I'm going to hit escape to unselect, and I'm going to select my east elevation. Control C to copy to the clipboard. Go to the Windows dialog, go down to the site plan, click on that, and hit Control V and just place it. It's on its edge, but that's okay. We're going to hit R to rotate, R, tab, -90. M for move. Now we might want to align it with this just for fun because it'll look better. I'm going to click on set selection handle and click here at the bottom of the trim or the finish floor line, set a handle there and hit M and just gravity move using the comma here and this arrow over about like so. Set a point. Okay, so we're good to go there. So we're going to do the same thing with our 2 remaining elevations. I'm going to go up to the Windows drop down, click on the W1 working drawing, select our rear elevation, Control C, copy to the clipboard, go back to the Windows drop down, click on the site plan, and Control V, and just set this one about in here somewhere. Well, that's upside down, huh? Okay, so I'm going to hit R for rotate, tab, 180. We'll turn that thing around. Hit M to move it up a little bit closer. And we actually are going to have quite a bit of room over here, so we may adjust that later. What I might do is, actually, I'm going to hit Control R. See this artifact here? Lots of artifacts in Dcad these days. Control R, and they go away. I'm going to set a handle on the ridge at the left end here of our south elevation, and hit M, because I think I'll just align it with this other one. And just arrow down. It just might look a little cleaner. Not something you have to do, but set a point. Okay, so now we're aligned. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go back to the Windows drop down and go back to our W1 drawing, and last but not least is our west elevation. Oh, I have to escape first to unselect. Now I'm going to select this, and I'm going to hit Control C and hit escape and go to Windows drop down and back into the site plan and hit Control V, and again it's on its side, so I'm hitting R for rotate, tab, and then 90 to rotate it clockwise 90 degrees. So what I want to do here is I'm just going to move it out of the way a little bit down here, because the easiest way to align these 2 things is I'm going to just do intersecting lines at the corner. So I'm going to hit V for vector and just take a line from this outside edge of the wall and hit H for orthogonal mode and come on over a ways and set a point. Then I'm going to hit V for vector, and right here I'm going to right click on the outside and bring it on down and in orthogonal mode still, and then click a point and hit my scroll button to initiate. Now I'm going to hit Shift E to trim these to each other, but I'm hitting H to go out of orthogonal mode first. Okay, so these guys, so now I have to set a handle here, and this will be aligned with the other one. So I'm just going to set a handle at that left corner of the wall at the bottom at the finished floor line, and hit my scroll button to initiate the command, hit M for move, and just right click and it snaps to it, hit escape, select each one of these lines, and then hit delete and get rid of those. Those are my alignment lines. So now we have all 4 elevations positioned in the site plan. I'm going to click on our sheet note legend box, select the 2 points here, and then hit H for orthogonal mode to toggle in, and right click on this point and just move it straight on up till it's about where I want it. Then hit escape to unselect. So I could move these 2 over a little bit further to the right. Might look a little better if I do. So I'm going to go ahead and just select these 2 guys, and place my handle about in the middle. So I'm going to gravity move to it, hit M, and that way it moves them all together. So that way they're not too close together, a little easier to see. Hit escape. So we're in the home stretch with our site plan here and our elevations. We'll have some things to do as far as cleaning up the names and the index of sheets and that sort of thing in our next lesson. So that concludes Dcad lesson 14B, dealing with elevations.